I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I thought Bill was gonna. Well, we'll start with, talking about the agenda. We've had some requests to remove a couple items for the time being. The first one is item 3 on our agenda regarding the FBO lease. The second is item 9 for the board action for eminent domain resolution. We're gonna take those off of the agenda this morning since we are still in discussions, with those folks on both issues.
Madam Chair.
With that, can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
Madam Chair, before you make that motion,
Yep.
could I make a comment, or just ask you a question?
Sure.
Would Auditor Lund be willing to pull item number 6 from the agenda? I wanted to combine that conversation with the ordinance change that I was going to bring here in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Can we
you.
pull 6 off the consent as well?
No, it's 6 under regular.
Oh, regular business.
Under
I'm sorry.
regular business.
Okay.
So is this 3, 6, and 9, Madam
So,
Chair?
yeah, we'd be pulling 3, 6, and 9.
With that, I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay. Got a motion, got a second. Any public comment? All right, if not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then I need a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment on this agenda item? If not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right, moving on to regular business. Presentation and authorization to proceed to the design scheme phase for the Justice Center. We've got a bunch of folks here that are going to present to us this morning, so just get started.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Julie Dotson with Tegra Group. So as you, Tiffany said, we are here to give you an update on the courthouse project. Last time we were here in early May, trying to give you just kind of an update where we are on schematic design. We are done with schematic design now, so we felt like this would be a good time to give you an update of where we're at. With us today, we have Lynn Remmers from JLG and Todd Orr from DLR Group. They will be talking to you about the schedule. Nothing's changed since last time, but we just want to give you an update where we are in the process. We'll talk about floor plans. A few items have been modified on there, so we'll go through that. We'll talk about exterior elevations, how the concepts, how we got to what we'll be showing you. You can kind of to see on the screen right now. And then lastly, we'll talk about site. And then we also have Henry Carlson here. So we have Dave Derry and Mike Ralstead. They'll be talking about budget today. So I don't know if you had any general questions, or I will pass it on to Lynn. Okay, thank you.
All right, good morning. Lynn Remmers with JLG Architects. Our agenda today, as Julie said, we'll go through schedule, we'll look at the floor plans and site plans again. And then something new you guys haven't seen a lot of is our exterior review, kind of what our design images are going to look like or potentially look like for the project. And lastly, budget. As Julie mentioned, we are at the end of our schematic design phase. Some of the things we've been working on since we met with you guys last time is really going through an extensive cost estimating period with Henry Carlson. So that took us a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks to go through. So that was a really great exercise. So they'll be talking about that near the end. But what I wanted to just kind of point out during this with the schedule is we are on track. we've, basically today, we're going to ask for approval for the SD package and moving into design development, which is basically our team going a little bit further into the design, working with our consultants, doing more coordination, and just kind of going a little bit deeper into the details of the project. At the end of that design development phase, we will do another estimate update. So we do have that planned for kind of end of September to mid-October to do another estimate review and project update. We plan to come back to this commission group a couple times, so we have roughly mid-September, and then again in November, kind of kicking off our construction document phase. And then near the end of that phase, we'll come back to this group again. So this is kind of how it's laying out. We still have kind of bidding after the first of the year here, so in February, bidding the project out, which is kind of what we had planned last time. All right, I'm just going to touch briefly on the floor plans. Most of this has stayed the same since we've talked last time.
Lynn, will that blow up at all? Or not?
I'm not sure it will.
Okay.
And I can kind of outline some of this because I know the text is really hard to read. So the orange spaces is the sheriff area, holding area. So sheriff has the 24/7 department. And then the holding cell areas, the sally ports on the north side, the vehicle sally port. Anything in that light yellow is going to be the public corridors or public spaces. So your main lobby, main functions there. The blues, light blue is going to be your restricted corridor access. So that's going to be, your judges' traffic, that more secured back of house area, staff corridors, that sort of thing. We do have the arraignment courtroom on this level, and that's in the little bit darker blue. And then the jury assembly is kind of that turquoise color on the left side of the page. The green and then the other turquoise green color, that is our clerk of courts and court services. So again, most of these spaces on main floor have stayed the same. We've tweaked a few things here with some of the mechanical rooms and adding some electrical rooms and things like that, but the majority of the spaces have stayed the same since last time. And then again, just to kind of reiterate the access points, the yellow arrows are indicating kind of where that public entrances will be. The main, obviously, on the south side, and then the west side is for the 24/7 lobby. North side of the building is, and then east is going to be the staff entrance locations. And then again, the sally port, more of that secure entrance on that north side. Okay, jumping up to second floor, again, yellow is that public circulation access, so getting to the stairs on either end for emergency egress. Our courtroom layout, again, everything stayed the same pretty much, except for on the right-hand side of the plan, you'll see there's one hearing room, which is noted in green, and then two multi-purpose rooms in the blue color. Last time we had it kind of flipped around. We had two hearing rooms with one multi-purpose. Through further discussion with the judges and the user groups and the building stakeholders, and working through that budget, of course, there was further development that they were only going to fit out 5 courtrooms at this time. So that essentially gave us the opportunity to create 2 multi-purpose rooms that could easily be converted in the future to additional hearing rooms. So there's 4 on this floor, then the 1 arraignment courtroom on the main floor. On third floor, this phase build out is just the state's attorney's office in the purple. With unfinished shell space in the hatched portion. Again, public corridor with access to public toilets off of this floor as well. And then the second version of this plan is just showing you potential future phase for this floor where additional state's attorney offices could be built out as their department continues to grow. And then as well as adding the 2 additional jury courtrooms on this floor. So again, day one is just going to be the state's attorney build out. Any questions on the plan? Or any plans as you guys see it right now?
In terms of lining up the number of judges' chambers with the number of courtrooms, how is that gonna work? And here's what I mean. I see right now on, well, so on page 1 on the first floor, there's no judge's chamber. Ostensibly, whoever's handling arraignments will probably go use an office upstairs, right? So,
Correct, that's my understanding, yep.
so that's courtroom number 1, and then courtrooms 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in floor number 2. There's 6 judges' chambers. So as of right now, there would be enough offices. But if the multi-purpose rooms are further converted into courtrooms in the future, you've got 1 judge's chamber. So
Yep.
we're good there, but then in the future, where would the addition, I assume on the 3rd floor then?
Yeah, so right now we've got, on second floor, there's 6 judges' chambers, which would be the 6 courtrooms on this floor. My understanding with arraignment courtroom is that it's not designated to a specific judge, that would be, scheduled on an as-needed basis, and it could be any number of the judges, so.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I don't know, Todd, okay. And then, so on this floor, yes, we do have the 6, and then on the future build-out, we would have the 2 courtrooms on this floor. So we've got 2 judges' chambers right now. Further down the road, if this additional courtrooms are needed, state's attorneys would move out of this floor, out of this building, and 2 more courtrooms would be planned for this, area in purple, which then we've got 3 of the state's attorney's offices up on that north side of the plan. 2 of those would be converted to judges' chambers as well.
So just to clarify then, the judges or UJS is okay with not having an office for the arraignment court judge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
The public corridor on the first floor, is that about normal size? I mean, is for a building of this structure and for this type of building?
Yeah, we wanted to make sure we had enough circulation space and enough queuing space, especially as people come into the building before they meet the security guard and metal detector and that sort of thing. So giving a little bit more room than what you guys currently have as people queue up into the building, especially early in the mornings, court days, meeting days like this, where you get a lot of people coming in right away at 8 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, getting enough of that lobby space also for the jury assembly. When those meetings are taking place, you have a big group of people that are going to exit that room, and you want to give them space to congregate. So I would say, yeah, we're a good size. I don't feel like we're oversized at this point, but I guess ample space for appropriate circulation.
So you feel we're adequate at this time?
Yes, yes. Yep, and then we also will have, outside the clerk of courts area, we do have a little bit of waiting room space, and outside that jury room, some soft seating so people can, gather and sit while they're waiting to get into their meetings or that sort of thing, so.
Do you know what I think you mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that, or you or Julie did, that there was perhaps a little bit of discussion regarding budget with making 2 of the courtrooms on the second floor, multipurpose rooms. Do you know what the dollar amount difference is between making them courtrooms now versus just doing multipurpose rooms?
Where Jewel comes up.
I mean, are we talking like tens of thousands of dollars, or are we talking hundreds of thousands of dollars?
It's probably in the tens of thousands. I don't know, Mike or Dave, if you have the, yeah, exact number.
It's just the furnishings.
So like 10,000 or 90,000?
Well, that number I don't have off the top of my head, but tens of thousands versus hundreds of thousands.
And here's the
Yep.
point I'm trying to get at is, you know, if it's only tens of thousands of dollars today, well, let me back up on that. So is it just UJS not wanting to furnish them? And that's why we're calling it a multipurpose room?
I
Or
would-
is it going to be just built out as like 4 walls?
It's gonna be built out for the multipurpose room because the technology portion of it, the judges, and I don't want to misstate anything they said, but the gist of it was they would be worried that maybe the electronics and the tech would be outdated if we put it in there by the time they were ready to use those courtrooms. So it was a waste of money in their view, I guess, to outfit those courtrooms at this point, since we don't even have enough judges to be in those courtrooms. So there's, I think when we originally talked about it, it was maybe $60,000 to $70,000 that we were saving by not, per courtroom, that we were saving by not building those out. And I might have the numbers wrong, but that was my recollection from our earlier discussions.
So just last question on that issue. So when the time comes, will any further construction or expenditure of money be needed by us to convert that into a courtroom?
Sure, yep, like what you see in the green hearing room, the tables, the chairs, the judge's bench, the technology, probably for the most part, is provided by UJS. But it would probably, they would, arguably, they'd look just like that green courtroom. But the county is responsible for the lion's share of the build-out.
Well,
We will have, and maybe to help
Yeah.
answer that, we will have, you know, the infrastructure is going to be built into the walls. So we're going to put data and power into the locations we need for when that is converted to a hearing room, that it's already there. We don't have to rip open the walls, rip into the ceilings as, you know, as much. But the main differences that's not going to be built now are the judge's bench. So the actual casework and maybe any, you know, finishes that might be on the back wall, like a more of an accent wall, like stone or wood paneling or whatever. So right now, the room's gonna be built out. It'll have carpet, it'll have gyp walls, and it'll have a ceiling and lights and everything, so it's still usable, still functional. It's just more the casework pieces of it are gonna be slated for future, as needed, built out.
yeah, I would call it furnishings and finishes,
Yep,
right?
exactly. Yep,
Thank you.
yep. All right. No other questions on floor plans. We'll jump into our site plan and look a little further at that. And then I'll turn it over to Todd and he'll speak to that. Thank you.
Morning, Todd.
Good morning, Todd War, architect with the DLR Group. Pleasure to be here this morning. We're going to go through the site plan a little bit, and we had shared information on the site plan previously at our last meeting, but this is just providing some additional information and development on the site plan. As Lynn mentioned, we're obviously working with a much larger team, consultants of civil engineers and landscape architects. And so they've contributed to adding information that's on the site plan that you'll be seeing here today on the screen. And so for orientation purposes, here is sort of the overall site plan. It's giving you the entire north 40 acres with an access off of Highway 18. And graphically, what you're seeing in the yellow is just letting you know that we have a very large site and we're planning it for the future. We've been very diligent about looking at opportunities for growth and how this site will serve the community for many, many, many years. So with our initial, being mindful of the dollars for the project and making sure we're very mindful of what we're spending our money on today. If you look at the yellow area, that is noted as kind of native grass. So even though we have a large site, and we're kind of being very mindful of how we're using our money to kind of create a sense of place and a sense of arrival, that's very important, for a courthouse. It's going to be the heart of the community. And then the green and the pink areas are the more refined kind of landscape moments. So in and around the building proper, and also creating that moment of arrival off of Highway 18. So very focused and kind of where we're applying those areas of design so that when you come onto the campus, for now and many years into the future, has a very much a sense of arrival that's appropriate of a courthouse and appropriate of the citizens seeking services at the court building. The infrastructure and the roadways are in place for the main court building with kind of stub outs for the future loop road that will accommodate a jail and future development that's planned for on the site. So we're being very mindful about where we're putting that infrastructure so that we're not going backwards to go forwards. Not unlike the conversation we just had about the multi-purpose rooms, the walls will be there, the infrastructure will be there. It'll be more of an additive process, not taking things away from the project. So the dollars we're spending today are put to good use and not being redacted moving forward. So with that, I might jump to the detail plan. We're kind of zoom in a little bit closer. So north is up, and at the top of the page is an outline of the court building. And what's very unique about the courthouse as a building type, and Lynn touched on it briefly in her presentation, when we talk about areas for public circulation, areas for private and secure circulation, and those things start at the site as well. We don't just solve those problems or solve those challenges once you get into the interior of the building. All that needs to be planned for as you approach the building from the exterior. So everything to the south of the site is very much your public access. The main public parking lot to the south. Since our presentation last time to the group and the commissioners, we have added, right off what we're calling our main entry plaza, some dedicated parking for accessible parking. So you have a very close proximity to the front door of the building for those people who need that level of access. We've also kind of duplicated that on the left-hand side of the plan for the 24/7 individuals coming for that program. It's very much an in and out activity, so being able to have that convenient for those individuals coming to court was part of the design plan. To the north and to the east is more staff and secure parking areas. So again, now that works on the interior of the building is also aligning with what's being done on the building exterior. There's obviously a series of pathways that bring staff, the public, to the entrance of the courthouse and to dedicated private staff entrances on the east side of the building. Again, the color coding, looking where we're applying the more detailed landscape systems in and around the building, in and around all the pieces of the project that'll be here for many, many years to come. The more perimeter edges of the site are the natural grasses and limited types of landscape environments, so that as we add building and add other components to the master plan of the site, we're not taking away, we're just adding to that design. So any questions on the overall kind of site approach that the team has taken before we kind of transition into some exterior conversation? Okay. All right, with that, we're going to kind of walk through a couple of things that the team has taken a look at. And just as a overview and a context, we're in schematic, we just completed schematic design. There's still a long way to go. So this is our, first pass at taking all the big ideas, taking two-dimensional floor plans and try to make it architecture. So we're excited to share, kind of our first cut at that with the commissioners here today and the community. And so some of the things that we take a look at, right, that are important to a building, a courthouse building, to a civic building. Obviously, the buildings here you're familiar with, the historic courthouse here in Canton, and then the courthouse that's in Minnehaha. So the idea of the building being very recognizable as a court building, courthouses have elements or architectural features like a clock tower that define the building on the skyline. A sense of balance, a sense of proportion, a sense of permanence are things that are all things that are very important that need to be embedded in the overall design of a new court building. Additionally, what we think is very important is obviously a building that relates to its community, a building that feels like it borrows from the local context and things that speak to a building that's in the community of Canton and Lincoln County. And in the general regional area, obviously, the connection to nature and outdoors. The building in the upper right is one of the historic federal courthouse. So the notion of sort of that materiality, the sense of texture that elevation provides, and then the sort of the warmth that's provided by the wood. It's a way to sort of incorporate that into our buildings today. A courthouse, although it serves the justice system, obviously needs to be very approachable. And it's a building that is of the community, and the community needs to come here and feel welcome to get services. So with that kind of backdrop, this is our first rendering and elevation of the court building. So the notion of having the entry being very well defined. At this point, we're using kind of a front porch element with a colonnade that defines the center and the heart of the building, and defines that on the axis coming off the highway, and centers the building and creates that pedestrian approach, that civic approach to the campus, and the building is on axis with that moment. We do have a tower element that's defining the building kind of on the skyline. So those pieces, we borrowed, that sort of traditional courthouse architecture elements being brought to this building. And then the underside of the front porch canopy using a wood design feature that sort of provides the element of wealth and warmth and approach to the building for people coming. A little bit of the detail on how we're looking at the entry piece. When we did the building tours, not unlike the project here today, the security screening is kind of in a multi-height space, and the Minnehaha is actually amplified. It's like a 5-story space. And the sense from a security screening is that you have all this overhead space, and they kind of feel like you're kind of exposed as they're trying to bring people into the building in a safe and secure manner. So the approach that we took was to have that element be more of a 1-story element, which is what you're seeing sitting under that main sort of entry canopy. So that way, the ability for people to look down upon that secure activity is kind of taken away, and provides that added layer of security for those individuals coming into the building. And then we still have that kind of taller glass atrium type space, but it's just really serving the public corridor on the court floor and the 3rd floor above. So you still have these nice views to nature, these views to outside, but you're not looking down on your security screening staff as they're trying to do their business and bring people into the courthouse. So we see this as kind of a best of both worlds approach. You're still having that moment of arrival and a moment that represents the building sort of in the scale of a much larger site, but also the more intimate, secure scale of the pedestrian at the 1-story level. Some of the examples that we showed in the photographs, we have more of a rusticated kind of a stone type exterior. We're using a very cost-effective material, using precast, where you can use a formed precast liner that creates very much that same kind of texture feel. So there's moments on the building. It's somewhat hard to pick up on the rendering, but certainly the vertical wall element that brings the exterior front porch and canopy down to the ground has that sort of articulation to it. And then the wings on the right-hand side of the image with the stair tower has that same level of articulation. At the ground plane, what's extremely important, again, talking about security, is to do it in a very transparent way where it doesn't feel like it's a bunch of bollards, vehicle protection barriers. So what we're doing is using the sort of the site and the landscape feature out front to provide that protection to the front of the building. So we're using sort of raised planter walls. It's part of an architectural and landscape design that provides that perimeter protection, but does it in a way that's very user-friendly and approachable for citizens coming to the court building. So that's kind of our overview of the project, from the floor plans to the site to the exterior. So if there's any questions, I know some of the development on the site related to landscape and that overall kind of design, and certainly the exterior components of the schematic design package are somewhat new information to the group. So happy to answer any questions on where we're at today. And then we'll turn it over to Henry Carlson's group to talk about our budget.
First blush, very impressive.
Okay. All right.
Good morning. Dave Derry with Henry Carlson Construction.
And I'm Mike Carlson with Henry Carlson Construction.
And so, we just want to talk a little bit about how the design and the cost are trending. And currently, we believe that the design is tracking real nicely in alignment with the budgets and with our targets. And so, I don't want to get into the detail. Mike is the detail guy. I'm looking at this from about 10,000 feet, but Mike knows the doors, the windows, and the wall coverings. So right now, like I said, we're tracking really well with the design. We're in alignment. On the construction side, we're carrying about a $3.2 million contingency, which we've identified. And the reason for that contingency at this point is there's still a lot of design to do. And it's prudent on our part to carry contingency at this point. And as the design progresses, that contingency will track down. So as more definition occurs, contingency numbers will go down. But if you're wondering why there's a $3.2 million contingency number, that's for all the things we don't know yet. And there's a lot of things we don't know yet. And so from a construction budget, we feel really comfortable where it's tracking. We're really pleased with the design. It's a real good economical design right now, and it's a real buildable design. And so from where we're sitting, really like what the design team has done, and I think we've put together a pretty good building. Want to add anything to that?
No, I think you definitely hit the high points. I just know, you have any questions on anything specific, or?
Has UJS committed to this $400,000 number? It says state-funded items, UJS.
Yes, I'll let Julie speak to that, if that's okay.
So yeah, for those items that we have, kind of that soft cost, as we would call them, in that center portion, we've had meetings with UJS and Bill Golden and gone through what we found. So basically for the FF&E item, we have Connie Shields in our office who does furniture. So she's working with the design team, and they've gone through basically every single room, decided what furniture is going to go in there, what's the budget cost for that, included some escalation, because obviously we're not installing it tomorrow, we're installing it in a couple of years. And then we've talked to the judges and determined, like, clerk of courts, court services, some stuff in the courtrooms, the chambers will be stuff that the UJS will be covering, and so that's where that line item came from.
And then, do we buy all that, and then they give us the money? Or do
You
they
know,
buy it?
We're
and then
still.
it doesn't come out of our budget?
Exactly, so I think we feel like it makes more sense for us to manage all of it, so it's gonna be a lot of deliveries, schedules, even for furniture, for like maintenance and warranties, it would be nice for us to manage it all, and then they'd pay us for that amount.
Okay.
Julie, do you have any feel, like when you mentioned state courthouse security grants?
Yeah.
And federal, TBD, to be
Exactly.
determined. Do we have any feel for what they might be? I mean, do you have any idea or?
So Judge Hellman brought this to our attention, that there's an allotment of money, and Tiffany, I think,
It was 3.5 million.
Yeah, so there is some restrictions to that the county would do like 25%, and then the grant would cover 75%. We obviously, it's TBT at this point because we just started talking about it. I think the next time we're going to be here, we'll understand exactly what that is. But, so that would be another funding source, so then that FF&E line would go down lower.
We have a meeting, I think it's on August 3rd, with certain user groups to form a courthouse security team. And then once we do that, then we would be able to apply for that grant funding.
So there's actually 2 grants that are
There is.
pending out there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The Federal Homeland Security Grant, there's strings with that, and you've got to use it within a certain amount of time. So like right now, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to apply for that, but maybe next year it would make sense to apply for that. Because I think you have to use the funds, you have to earmark them and use the funds, I think, within a year.
Yeah.
But those 2 parts might arguably fund much of the security, the swipe cards and security doors and things of that nature in the courthouse.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Did you have any other questions?
Well, and we've got our construction contingency, but then at the bottom, we've got owner contingency.
Yeah, so the owner contingency, obviously, still going through design, but unknowns can always happen through a construction process. It's not perfect. But obviously, if that isn't used, it would go back to the county.
Okay.
We get that every year, don't we? Oh, I thought
Thank
we
you.
got it every year,
Okay.
Homeland Security.
And out of respect for time for everybody, I'm going to hold my questions as there are just too many, so.
Anybody else have any questions or comments they'd like to make today?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a public comment saying thank you for your time that you have devoted to this. And thank you, Tegra, for giving us a very good report. Pretty impressive.
It is. Everybody's worked really hard on this. I mean, I appreciate all the work that's went into it, both from UJS, from you folks here. We've had lots of meetings, and I know there's many more to come, but it's been interesting, and it's moving along nicely, so thank you. All right, if there's any other questions, comments, or discussions on that, we'll move on to our next agenda item.
Authorization.
Oh.
So you can move on to the next.
Oh, to sign the authorization for the
Yes.
next the design scheme phase. I do need a motion on that.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any public input on this agenda item? Yep.
Could I just ask if, in the future, is it able to build up out of the 3 floors?
I don't think that's the plan for this. We're not building it to build up.
I think I asked that question
So.
a couple months ago.
All right, any other public comment or questions?
Lynn Montgomery from Fairview, South Dakota. Commissioner Gibbons, welcome back. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you. I have, as a citizen, I have a couple questions or comments. You have a very beautiful building that you designed. However, there are buildings in front of that building, and my concern is those buildings. I am a member of the church that's in front of the courthouse. I own the land there. And I still am stuck. I've been coming, 2 years, and the places have been changed, the design has been changed, the purpose has been changing, and I understand that. I understand how difficult this is. But when I talk to people, you know what they say? Why? And why have we not voted on this? The people. So there are concerns, but my major concern right now is that there's buildings in front of this beautiful building that you're trying to construct. And there is a house, a garage, a business, and a church that truly is going to block most of this courthouse that you are building and truly making it beautiful. I just think that there will be problems in the future as far as what happens from now on. And will there be more need to clear the path is my fear, and that is my question as a citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this agenda item?
Scott Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I don't know if you've been downtown Sioux Falls and noticed what goes around the courthouse and the jail, but it's not, as one of the guys described, the heart of the community. I mean, I think there's fear of some of the people that surround that property of what this is going to turn into, and we're going to be dealing with criminals here, in and out of there. we're talking about the security of all the people in the courthouse. What about the security of the people around the courthouse? There's a church right outside that front door, and those people are concerned. Sounds like there's been some discussion about acquiring that property. We've heard, and don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but people are concerned with this. This is not the right location for this courthouse. I mean, if it's gonna be the heart of the community, shouldn't it be right here? I know there's one member of the board that fought long and hard for that. This is the heart of the community, right here, not out there on the edge of town. In fact, it's not even within the city limits, so I don't know how we call that the heart of the community. But there's a lot of concerns about security of the people around that place. And I noticed on the plan that you've already included an entrance through property you don't have. So I'm not sure how that's included in there. So just want you to know my concerns. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No. And I'll explain that. I was just talking to Commissioner Poppins just now. He asked for a little bit more time to get some answers to questions, and I don't have any opposition to that. So, I mean, overall, moving to the design phase, I don't have opposition to that. But I'm wondering if we just need to table this because this is the first time it's been presented to commissioners today, and we're being asked to make a decision after only having seen it and talked about it for 30 minutes. So I'm a no.
Commissioner Poppins.
Clarity then, Madam Chair, if I may. The motion that we're doing today is simply to keep moving forward. It is not locking us into any design or anything. There are many changes that can and still will happen. So as long as that is the case, I'm voting yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. Next agenda item, David Myers.
Good morning, I'm Dave Myers. I'm the new airport manager at the Lincoln County Airport. Just want to thank the people that were on the interview committee for giving me the opportunity to be the new airport manager. And I just put a few things on, I sent in just as bullet points that have been addressed since I've been there. So everything seems to be going well. It's kind of a new learning curve for me, and especially the budget. So I think I've visited with the auditor here a few times. So there's a learning curve for me, so it'll just take me a while to get up to speed. I just want to, my goals when I first took the opportunity to have this is make sure the airport is safe. We've done some things to make that safe. I just wanted to make it to be a viable place for Lincoln County, and I want to see it grow. Currently, we have around 65 aircraft there, but as we did a count here a few weeks ago, there's more than that. So the place is growing. There's a demand for hangars at the airport, and as I've learned and as I've been brought up to speed, the county's bought some land to expand, so we're really excited about that. And there's just some other things that we need to do to get in place to make this viable and safe and just a growing place for Lincoln County. I just want to mention a couple other things. Just as an opportunity for the Lincoln County people is that this Saturday, it's Wheels and Wings at the airport. There'll be a lot of antique vintage vehicles there, plus there'll be tons of aircrafts open. Hangar owners will have their hangar doors open, so people want to come out and look at airplanes and vintage cars. And every third Saturday at the airport is pancake breakfast, so you can come out, eat some breakfast, and also get an opportunity to look at aircraft and some other vehicles.
Dave, who's sponsoring the Wings and Wheels?
The Wings and Wheels is sponsored by the EAA, so they're a part of that. They get that up and running.
What time does that start, David?
Pancakes start at 7:30, so it'll be up and going probably at 8 till probably 11 o'clock, so.
The Wings and Wheels or Wheels
Yep.
and Wings, whichever way.
When can you bring a vintage car?
You can bring anything you want, so that'd be great.
What time?
7:30 is when I think the registration opens and so forth, so that's, if you want to come out and spend some time with us and support EAA and the airport and kind of see what is happening at the airport. And our big project will start at the end of July. We're redoing the north ramp It's a huge project for the airport, which is very much needed. The current ramp is deteriorating, and there's a lot of loose gravel and things like that that affect aircraft. So that'll start at the end of July, and should be completed by October 1st. So it's going to create some inconveniences for aircraft owners, but I think we've managed here to work through that, and I think it'll, like I said, it'll be some inconvenience, but we'll get through it like just with anything else. But it's just a viable part for the airport. Other than that, one other thing, the end of July is the Sioux Falls Air Show. Lincoln County, the airport there will house probably a lot of aircraft from Sioux Falls, probably Avera and Sanford aircraft will be parked there. So that's part of what the airport is there for, but the Sioux Falls Air Show is at the end of July.
Now, last weekend in July, isn't it?
Last weekend in July.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but I enjoy the position. I get a lot of support from Commissioner Poppins, Deputy State's Attorney, Mr. Meters. So I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I feel like I'm on an island, but I have support from John over here. Rambo has been an advocate, and he's helped me out a lot. So I appreciate that.
Welcome, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
One quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize for not reaching out in the last week or two. But we want to set up meetings with the user group. How's that coming along?
I talked to Mr. Meter about that, and we don't know who's on the advisory board, so I asked one of the people out at the airport, and no one has a clear idea. So that was part of what I need to find out. I think I know who one person is, but what I'd like to see is like that group meets 4 times per year.
Okay.
And we just get together and just talk about the future of the Lincoln County Airport and so forth. But I'm open to adding, I was just thinking about talking about sending an email out to the airport owners to see who would want to be a part of that, with the commissioner also part of that team, so.
About a year ago, we accepted applications on that, and I think people sent their applications
there
into
needs to
the
be-
auditor's office, right?
Yeah, we'll figure out where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want a starting place, you may want to get with the auditor's office.
And then, just for your information, number 3, which is on our agenda, was removed. It will be on our last meeting of the month.
Okay.
For that to move forward, so,
Okay, all right, sounds good.
thank you.
I know that Commissioner Poppins and I, last winter, met with the Civil Air Patrol out there, and maybe you guys have already gotten back to the Civil Air Patrol, but I know we talked about getting back to them sometime this summer about some of the concerns that they have out there, and I know that in your position now, maybe you can seek them out, see if they'd like to continue with that planned meeting, or
Sure.
if they have something else in mind.
Yes, I'll do that.
I know their program is really growing.
Yes, it
and,
is.
They expressed that
Yeah.
to Commissioner Poppins and I.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All
Dave.
right, thanks.
All right, next item on our agenda is board action to appoint a District 2 representative to the Planning Commission. Commissioner Gibbon, you want to handle that?
Yes, I had 4 people express an interest in the position. I spent some time on the phone with all 4 people, and all of them have some good and very good characteristics. But at this particular stage, I think the one that probably has the most characteristics that might be able to help us the most right now is Marlene Sweeter. And so I'd like to appoint her to that District 2 position.
All right. Any further discussion? Questions, comments?
If that's his motion, I'd gladly second it.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any public input? All right, if not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, motion carries. Next item on our agenda, board action to authorize building and grounds to solicit proposals for livestock water supply at the fairgrounds.
Good morning, Commissioners. So I'm just simply asking permission to solicit quotes. We'd like to try to get some stuff in motion, maybe have some of the water installed before Achievement Days.
All right, anybody have any questions?
I'll give you a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion to approve authorization to solicit proposals. Any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes, motion carries. Next item, board discussion and action regarding the budget process.
So unfortunately, I have to cancel the work session on the 20th. I forgot I had a prior arrangement or commitment. So what I'd like to do is, I have to have the provisional budget approved and ready to publish no later than August 8th in order for us to get the notice deadline met. So if we wanted to do a work session within one of those first two meetings,
You said August 8th?
yeah, I need to have the approval for the provisional budget to publish by August 8th, because I have to have it published 2 weeks before the hearing that we have in September.
Is that gonna give us enough time, do you think?
I think so, because the provisional budget is just, here's what it is, and then you have the hearing, so if there's any changes, and we're not adopting it till the end of September, but we need to follow the timeline, so it's 2 more weeks till, well, a few more than 2 more weeks till August 8th.
So do you wanna do, what date are you looking at?
Either the first or second meeting in August, we can do the work session.
Do you wanna do those right after our meeting, or do you wanna do
That's
them
kind
in
of
the
what I was
evening?
thinking, then it's, so even if we wanted to, we could divide it up into 2 work sessions. I don't know, have you guys looked at it? Have you given any thought on who you want to talk to? How much time do we need to put into it?
Would it make sense to do one the evening of the 25th and then have another one right after our August 1st meeting?
You're talking an evening meeting, correct?
Correct.
I had, thank you. I was going to suggest
What,
that.
what date are you on, Jim?
25th of July, an evening meeting, which is a Tuesday.
Is there any chance we could do an evening meeting on Monday?
Monday, the 24th.
24th.
I don't have, I'm fine with that.
Okay, and then at the meeting on the 24th, what do you want to have happen?
Sherry, on the 24th is the.
We're still not going to be here. Never
NACO-
mind.
NACO.
Yep, we're not going to be here.
Okay.
Meeting, so it'd have to be the
25th.
25th.
NACO, you making these acronyms up there, Mr. Schmidt?
So let's make it the 25th.
25th evening.
What
Here.
time?
I like that.
6:30.
31st, the evening, no?
25th,
Meeting, the 25th at 6:30,
budget.
budget
And then
work
do the-
session.
And then do it on the 1st, right? Following the meeting.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with that. How about Joel? Does that work for you?
I'm on my family vacation that week. So
On
I'll
the
be
week of
gone.
the 1st or the July
If I
25th?
can call in, I will.
Which, the first or both?
Well, I'm gone, I am gone July 20th through August 3rd. Combination
What
of
do we
Army
do?
Reserve duty and family vacation.
Jane.
But I'll
So
call in
there-
if I can.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think we have an alternative
24th,
there.
25th, or
All right, so the 25th, 6:30, and then the 1st after the meeting.
first after the meeting.
Okay, then, what do you want to have happen at the meeting on the 25th?
When's the
I
second
think-
meeting? When is the second meeting?
Do you have a
31st?
suggestion? Would that be a good time for department heads to bring any special requests that they have to us
Yep, we can do that.
on their budget, some of the bigger?
Yeah, I think
mean,
if
do you
any
wanna
department.
go line through, line by line like we did last year on the 25th? And then have, whichever way, I don't know what our department's schedules are like for the 25th. So I don't know if you want to go line by line on the 25th and then on the 1st, have the departments come in for special request or vice versa, whichever way.
Sherry, I have a question for
Whatever
you.
I don't have a preference, whatever you think would work the
Yeah.
best.
You've got, your budget has called for really no new people from departments,
Well,
and there isn't any major expenditures, so
there
do we?
is a request from the highway shop for an engineer. That's the
Okay.
only new person. And I might be speaking out of turn, but I think
It's
that
$100,000.
there might be one
We
other.
don't have.
No, but we may pay for itself. I figured that when you looked at that, Terry, this is preliminary, but that engineer will pay for itself in time.
Well, my plan is also to use ARPA funds to subsidize it for 3 years.
Over how many years? Well, I don't know that it's necessary to bring in all department heads. I don't. I mean, you looked over the budget, and you look over what they put in, and really the only increases that many of them have is for salaries.
I think we should word it like this, they're welcome to come. And if their topic comes up and they're not here to represent it, well.
Go back to your budget.
So I think we put it, it's not a demand, but a request. And we'll put it at that.
So you want me to put a notice out to all department heads to be here on the 25th?
I think that would be wise,
Perfect.
but that's my thought, so.
August 1st, it's after our regular meeting.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yep. So the 25th will be at 6:30 with the department heads present. And then August 1st will be clarification after the meeting. And hopefully I'll have on August 1st to pass on August 8th, then I'll have it to accept the provisional budget.
All right, so you need a motion on that, Sherry?
Nope.
Okay. Any public input? I know we're not taking action, but is there any? All right. Next agenda item, board action to authorize expenditure for appraisal of property. Bill, are you handling that?
Concerning the parcel that is south of the 40 acres the county is planning on building the courthouse to, we would like to do, or approval to have authorization to expend funds on an appraisal if necessary. Currently, the landowners have hired A.J. Swanson. We've been going back and forth. We may be able to get this resolved short of any other actions, but we'd like the authorization for an appraisal if that becomes necessary.
All right, anybody have any questions for Bill? All right, if not, I'd consider a motion.
So moved to approve the.
I'll second it.
Got a motion to authorize an appraisal. Any further discussion amongst commissioners? All right, any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes, motion carries. We have next our opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to come up and address anything related to county business or services that is not on the agenda, please do so now.
Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. I am here again, of course, for election integrity. There was supposed to be a meeting between Lincoln County and Minnehaha County regarding our elections. ENS was supposed to be invited by, I believe, Commissioner Poppins and BPRO, I would assume, and then the other half of what citizens would present. And so I know that I checked with Leah today before didn't have time to check with you, that really needs to happen soon. And we would appreciate that prompt response to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, if not, we'll move on to our commissioner reports. Any commissioners have reports they would like to make today?
Yeah, Madam Chair, just real quickly, this morning as I was driving here, I got held up because of the train going across. I saw people driving through the red lights at the train intersection. And then I'm reminded that I think yesterday or the day before in Sioux Falls, there was a semi-truck that a train collided with at an intersection. And the reason this is important to me is because last year in my district, there were 2 people who were killed as a result of a unfortunate accident at a train intersection. And checking with the city of Harrisburg, or working with the city of Harrisburg and the South Dakota Department of Transportation. And I know that we as a county tried to work on providing the signs for that particular railroad intersection south of Harrisburg. Is the state DOT has announced that they are going to fully fund, along with a portion of it from the city of Harrisburg, an improved train intersection there with lights and crossing gates and that whole thing, given how busy and how fast the growth is south of Harrisburg. So just want to remind folks to be safe out there.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Any other commissioner reports today?
I'd like to make a few comments, Madam Chair. And I guess, first of all, I'd like to say that probably, as many of you have noticed, I've physically been absent from sitting in this chair. I've been calling in remotely to meetings over the last couple of months. And, the reason being, I've been dealing with an unexpected health issue. And however, I will tell you I'm improving. I'm getting stronger every day. There may be times my doctor, Alvaro, may encourage me not to attend meetings. So I will deal with that later. But anyway, be it a phone call or sitting here in person is a priority that I want to do, and I want to continue serving the constituents of Lincoln County and District 2. And I will continue to do so. So anyway, I want to thank you, the commission, for all that you've done and the patience you've had with me the last few months. I'd also like to thank you for all your words of encouragement, prayers, extra hard work, and from everyone else as well. I really appreciate the input and the encouragement that you've given me. And obviously, you can't go through what I'm going through without extended family. And I tell you, my wife and my children, I can't thank them enough for everything that they have done and how they've changed their lives as well. So, again, I'd like to again, continue to support what I'm dealing with, and I will do my best to continue to serve as your commissioner.
Thank you. It's very glad to have you back. All right. I usually don't do anything during this informational report. However, I would like to introduce our new Commission Administrative Officer, Steve Rasmussen. He's in the back. Do you mind standing up?
Saying a few words.
Steve's worked, he comes to us from Newport Beach, California. He was Deputy Chief of Police there, over most recently Patrol and Traffic Divisions. He's managed budgets upwards of $67 million. He's also worked as a private sector attorney for more than 20 years, so we're really happy to have Steve here. And Steve, if you want to say anything, further introduce yourself, go for it.
Yeah, Madam Chair, thanks for the time. I just wanted to briefly say this last week I've had an opportunity to meet with several of the department heads and their staff. I'm very impressed. I'm really looking forward to collaborating both with various departments as well as the commission and leading Lincoln County into the future. So thank you, and like I said, you should all see more of me here in the coming weeks. So,
All right, glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, any other reports? All right, if not, Bill, do we need any executive session?
Under all or one or?
We have it listed under, I think all of them.
All right, I need a motion under 125, 2 sub 1, 3, and 4.
Second.
Second, third.
Fourth, fifth.
I've got a motion and a second. Any public discussion? All right, if not, Sherry, call the roll.
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Come out of executive session.
Second.
Thank you. I got a motion and a second. Sherry, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, and then a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Sherry.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.